Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Wednesday, April 25th, 2007. Yesterday we showed you this speech of Karl Rove's where he laid out a list of 6 alleged hotspots of Democratic voter fraud around the country. A little later on in that speech, he also claimed that there was voter fraud in the state of Oregon, voter fraud tied to the state's mail-in voter program. So that gives us a list of 7 places where Rove was saying that voter fraud was taking place over the last few years. Florida, New Mexico, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Washington State, Philadelphia, Oregon, and St. Louis. Okay, first we have Seminole County, Florida, and Bernalillo County, New Mexico. These are both highly publicized ballot disputes in the 2000 election, so these are pretty widely known. Next, we have Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Washington State. Now, we know from the Department of Justice document dump from a few weeks ago that the Milwaukee case, Rove actually printed out an article where he got this information from, alleged information from, and he sent it in a packet to Kyle Sampson, while Kyle Sampson over at the Justice Department was putting together the firing list. Now, Washington State, we also know from our reporting that the chairman of the Washington State Republican Party, Chris Vance, was in regular contact with Karl Rove, relaying to Rove his complaints about voter fraud and the fact that John McKay, the U.S. attorney in that state, wasn't following up, wasn't prosecuting people for the voter fraud that Vance told Rove was taking place. As we know, John McKay was eventually fired December of last year. Okay, so that leaves us with 3 more cases, and they are Philadelphia, Oregon, and St. Louis. Now, we looked around for, where do these charges come from? Now, as nearly as we can tell, they all come from an op-ed that appeared in the New York Post on December 20th, 2000. This is during the 2000 recount. The article's called "It's the Fraud, Stupid," and it's by Stephen Bronars and John Lott. They go through a whole series of allegations of voter fraud, and if you look at the text of the column and Rove's claims, they're not quite word for word, but they're pretty close. It's clear that Rove is getting these charges from this column. Now, if you've been hanging around the blogosphere for a while, you probably remember this name, John Lott. He had a book called More Guns, Less Crime, the thesis of which is the more people carry handguns, the less violence there's going to be in society. That book came under a lot of attack for questionable use of statistical evidence, but what really generated a lot of controversy, he was caught having created a fake identity. The name of this fake identity was Mary Rosh, and Mary Rosh was supposed to be a former student of John Lott's, and she would go around different blogs and different online forums and write comments praising Lott to the stars and saying how his scholarship was great and so on and so forth. This was actually John Lott himself who had created this fake identity. In any case, that is where Karl Rove apparently gets his information about voter fraud. So we're going to keep covering Karl Rove's war against voter fraud, and we're going to be bringing you more on that in the next few days. It's Josh Marshall, TPM Media, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.